Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. This week, however, I have a new car, and the new car is an Audi S1 if you haven't seen it from the title. And I thought I'd shape the channel up a little bit more instead of just doing bog standard reviews like everyone else does. I thought I'd make it a little bit different this time and do a different approach where I talk about the 5 things I like and the 5 things I hate. Unfortunately, I've got to do that part. But yeah, so I'm going to do it into a 2-part video. So the first video, of course, is going to be the 5 things I like, and then to follow, obviously, it will be on 5 things I hate about the S1. So let's get started straight away and start with the first point that I want to talk about. So if you don't know, if you don't follow me on Instagram or any social media, I will leave a link down below so you can check out what I get up to, because most of the time that is the first point of action if you want to see what I get up to. But enough waffling, let's go straight to the point 1, and that has got to be brand values. Now, when I mean brand values, I mean in terms of when a manufacturer makes a car, they have to go through lots of different scenarios where they've got to go and talk to accounts to make sure they can finance the car, engineering to make sure the car is actually possible to make, and lots of other things that go into it. And usually with manufacturers, i.e. Ford for example, they tend to go based on a lot of options where is it actually doable financially to make instead of what Ford can actually build. Whereas with Audi, the S1, well, the A1, has always been a car that has been front-wheel drive. So the car was never destined to be having a four-wheel drive drivetrain. So first of all, the Audi weren't too keen on putting a Quattro system in the car because A, it's a front-wheel drive car, and B, it will cost them more money to create underpinnings and stuff for the Quattro system, as it's never been designed to be done. So in respect for the consumer, it's a great thing because, well, for me personally anyway, because you get to have a car that you actually want instead of what the manufacturer is making you want to buy. So for it, again, back to Ford, we all want a Fiesta RS with a four-wheel drive system, but we're never going to get it because the account people and Ford won't let it happen because it's just too much money. But they are capable of making it. So that is a very good point to start with. I think that Audi have hit the nail on the head, because it's true. All the S products that Audi sell, S3, S5, and list goes on, they all have Quattro systems. So why would they break the trend and stick with a front-wheel drive car when the rest of them are Quattro? It just seems silly, really. But there are downfalls to it, but I won't go into that. That will be for the next video. Also, again, another thing to it, well, this is the second point now, is the engine. So now, we all know Audi is owned by Volkswagen, and Volkswagen own lots of other things, hence why it's called Volkswagen Group. And again, it goes back to brand values a little bit, because they could have used any other engine, i.e. a 1.4 TFSI engine, and just tune it up a bit more. But they decided to actually go for the E8 AAA engine, or EA AAA engine. Can't pronounce it properly. But yeah, if you're not familiar with the engine, you can actually find it in pretty much every single Volkswagen Group car, where it's the GTI, the Golf R, even the S3, Seat Leon, Cupra, everything. It's in everything. So it's a widely regarded engine, and what makes it so good is that because it's so used in the industry, it's reliable, and with reliability, it offers great tunability. So you can go to companies like Revo, APR, and you can basically go in and they give you a figure, and at the end of it, the car's got another 100 brake in it, and it does it without a flinch. So yeah, for a consumer point of view, you get such a small package, but the engine's so big. And yeah, just the driving philosophy of it, with having so much power, and because the car is so light, the engine doesn't struggle at all in any rev range at all, apart from a slight bit of turbo lag, but you're just going to get that with any sort of car using a turbo setup. So yeah, and being them using the EA AAA engine, it also makes it the fastest car in its class. So you can compare it to the Fiesta ST, the Polo, not so much like the Golf, even though again there's bad things to that, which again is going to be explained later on in the series. But yeah, with them using this engine, it makes it the fastest car in its class. So it has 230 brake horsepower. It does 0 to 60 in about 5.8 seconds, give or take. It's quite hard to launch this thing. It's got a weird way to launch in. It's got a limiter of 4,000, but it's not actually launch control. I thought it was, and when I tried it, it just bogged down. So you just have to give it slight less revs, and then yeah, just like launching a front wheel drive car pretty much. But yeah, and also the top speed of this thing is 155, and that's actually limited, so it can actually go faster. So it's quite a capable car. I think again, it goes back again to brand values, as I said, because Audi have just gone, you know what, we're going to build a car that we want to build, not what the accounts people that have no clue about cars tell us to do. So it just shows you what a car manufacturer can do when they're not under pressure and they get to do what they want to do. Now, point number 3 is the drivetrain. So I've already mentioned it. This has the Quattro system in it, and yeah, it's a great system because it allows you to push the car to such a high limit, so you explore a lot more of the car than if it was, say, front wheel drive, where you've constantly got to worry about push, understeer, and all those kind of stuff with traits of a front wheel drive car. I'm not saying it's perfect. It's great for what it does. I mean, when you get the problem with the car, I don't want to be too negative because this is meant to be a positive video, but when you get past the limit of what the car can do into, say, a corner, it does then start to generate understeer. But that's just normal because you're finding too much of the limit to the car, if that makes sense. So yeah, as long with the Quattro system, we also got a manual gearbox, and unfortunately it's only as a manual, and that's great. That's a great sense to people that love driving because it's designed to be a driver's car. So offering a manual box only gives that choice to, it kind of limits the target market a bit, because in this brand people tend to want to have the choice instead of just having one option. But the manual gearbox itself is absolutely pucker. It's lovely, the shift's great, it's got a short throw as well, so when you're going changing from gear, it doesn't seem like years when you're going from second to third or third to fourth or whatever you're going to do. And a big topic that I spoke about with other cars in the class, i.e. the Swift Sport, and if you haven't seen my Swift Sport video, you can click in the top right corner and check the video out. But one thing I did mention about that was that it didn't have a variable control. So what I mean by that is driving modes, and most cars in this class now are going that way, and the S1 is one of them. And when I mean by that, it has a thing called Drive Select. So Drive Select allows you to put in either efficiency mode, so basically opt in for the best economic drive that you can do. So if you're looking to save money or you're running low on fuel, you can bung it in that, and it allows you, basically maps the throttle down to obviously provide more efficient driving. And then you've got auto, which is pretty much basically a comfort mode. And last but not least, dynamic, which is the sportiest mode. So it basically turns everything up max, throttle, steering feel, and obviously the ride. So obviously with the driving modes, it's controlled through a damping system, and each mode provides a soft and harder feel as you go up. So being in dynamic, it's stiffer, and then in efficiency, it's more dulled down. Dynamic, yeah, is pretty much shocking on UK roads. But again, this is positive, remain positive. Styling comes to my 4th point. The styling of this car, see, when I read up on the internet, journalists criticised the styling of the car. Now, I think it's a bit wrong to criticise it, because from a base A1 to an S1, there is a big difference. You've got the front end differences from the bumper and the grills to the back end with the diffuser, which is not really used for aerodynamic purposes, is more just for show. And obviously you've got the wheels, and you've got the option to have a colour-coded roof. So when people talk about, oh, there's no difference, you can't tell an A1 to an S1, you're wrong, because you can. An example of this scenario is the new Fiesta. Kind of slating the Fiesta a bit now, but it's a good car. But the Fiesta with the ST line and the ST, there is no real difference. All the difference is that you've got a twin exhaust at the back, and then they've changed the front grille. Other than that, you cannot generally tell whether it's a Fiesta ST or a Fiesta ST line, and I get that quite a lot. So yeah, no, the styling is great. I think the A1 as a whole is a good looking car already, and if you haven't seen, because this is the first generation, the second generation is due to come in November, and that looks absolutely stunning. So if Audi get the budget to do an S1, which I assume they're going to do, that is going to look absolutely mega. And last but not least, of course, it being German, the fifth point is build quality. Now, the build quality of this thing is insane. Not as all Audis, as you know, you pay the price for the premium. And this is no exception. You've got fine Nappa leather, you've got a lovely steering wheel, and just the overall car, you know that you're paying for a top spec. I mean, even the dashboard is all soft touch, and now I review a lot of cars with hard scratchy plastics, but obviously you're paying the price for that. But in here, as a whole, it is lovely. And of course, you can opt for stuff like the Bose sound system, which, yeah, is I've heard other sound systems, and it's not the worst and it's not the best, but for the option to have a nice surround sound in your car, it's definitely a big tick. But overall, I think that this deserves the Pocket Rocket status, and it's a shame really that the car's been tarnished with, I wouldn't say bad faults, because journalists have been fair. They've said it's a good car, but unfortunately there are elements to it that make it hard for a consumer to think, hold on a second, is it worth buying? And of course I'm going to talk about that in the 5 things I hate, because yeah, it's, as much as this is a good car, there is big flaws like any other car. So but yeah, unfortunately I've got to do the job where I have to give you consumer advice, which I don't like talking negative about cars, but it's got to be done. But I've talked enough about the 5 things I like. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope it helps you. Leave your feedback in the comments below. Again, as I always say, I do love feedback, and it's always great that you guys actually watch these videos and actually appreciate the work that goes into them. So I'm going to leave there. Tune in the next, I don't know, whenever I've been bothered to upload the video. But yeah, tune in for next time, and I'll be talking about the 5 things I don't like about the S1. But till then, thanks for watching. Take care, guys. Bye.